So how are you doing today? How is everything?
Yeah, busy day. I'm busy at the moment. My coach is away with his family, so I'm kind of covering most of the classes at the gym. So that's keeping me busy and busy with PTs. It's finally picking up. Yeah, every day I'm doing something new, which is good.
Is that something that keeps you kind of in the training mindset, like teaching other people as well, just being in the gym?
Yeah, I love teaching PTs. I had mainly kids today, but I actually prefer teaching kids. So because I used to be a junior fighter myself, I kind of know about the
Hmm.
junior rules and um, how to kind of work around for no head contact in the UK. You can't fight head contact until 16, so it's a different style of fighting. But yeah, I enjoy it. They really put a lot of effort in, and seeing them each week improve. That's what it's all about. It's really rewarding. So yeah, it's good.
Got it. And you also got, because you're young, you're 24 right now, right? So
Yeah.
it's and you've grown up basically in the gym. Like what? Maybe some people don't know. Like your mom was a fighter. I don't know about your father. Was he as well, or?
He done a few fights, but he's the coach. So he actually coached my mum. We run a family gym in Cornwall, Touch Gloves Gym. And yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, he's been my coach my whole life up until my move. So, but I have been around it. It's weird to say I've been like involved in Thai boxing for 21 years and I'm 24. Seems like a long time, but yeah, been my whole life.
That is crazy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because we recently sponsored Jazzy Parr as well, so she has kind of
Yeah.
the same thing. Like I think in her case it was even that John Wayne Parr, her father would like had to teach classes at the gym, or had to be there for their fighters because they were in fight camp when she was born. So he took her straight from the hospital to the gym first and then
Yeah.
home. So it
I
was
know. Yeah, I,
which
I
was
love watching her videos and keep up with them. My mum actually fought
yeah.
Jazzy's mum when they was both fighting.
Oh
So
man.
yeah, yeah. So and my dad's good friends with John. So yeah,
It's funny how
everyone
like
knows.
yeah, no, it's funny how like Muay Thai is it's such a small it's a like there's so many people that do it globally, and it's such a big sport, especially if you go like into Asia, into Thailand and stuff like that. But then the community is very small. Everyone knows each other, at least at the
Yeah,
top level, right?
yeah, definitely. It's
Yep.
nice, like especially like the power of Instagram now. Keep up with people around the world and see how their journey's getting on. So like I said, with Jazz, she's gone to boxing as well. So it's nice to see she could do both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a smoother transition than MMA fighters, I guess, to boxing as
Yeah,
well, because of the styles. Um,
yeah.
let me ask you. So, being born into it basically, and being in the gym from such a young age, do you feel like it's helped you not being afraid of fighting, or not being afraid of getting hit, if that makes sense, or you know?
Mm.
Because
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
if I think about other people, it's like you go into it a bit later, or for me myself, I had to get used to like, oh, I was already, I mean, I was young still, but I was like a teenager, and it was still like, oh, I had to get used to that type of physical contact.
it goes both ways. I mean, with me, when I was about 13, I stopped Thai boxing for about a year. And then I went back to it. And at that stage, when I was going into the head contact. So I think a lot of juniors in Thai boxing in the UK struggle from going from the junior rule set to then the adults. Because again, it's new, you're getting hit in the face. When you're
Mhm.
junior, like you're only getting hit in the body. So like your guards are lower. You get into bad habits. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse coming from junior. Like I said, it's bad habits and it's kind of a whole new sport. So in that sense, I struggled a lot. And
Mm.
yeah, do get used to it. But then obviously again, I've had a different transition having to be on one with 4 ounce gloves. And you don't get used to 4 ounce gloves. they just
Yeah,
hurt.
true. How young were you actually when you joined one? What
19.
age was them?
Yeah, I was
19. So that's,
19
yeah,
years
that's
old.
very young. Yeah, that's like
Yeah,
being thrown to the wolves. So
yeah.
obviously, like they don't have any. I would say like they don't like everyone there is high level. Like, so you're gonna get thrown to the wolves instantly. Like, what was that like?
I mean, yeah, it's hard because my junior record is actually on my one championship record. So as a adult fighter, I haven't actually had that many fights, and
Hmm.
I wasn't experienced with the elbow, so I got thrown onto this massive stage with like one championships is the best around the world, so you're never going to get an easy fight. And
Hmm.
especially for girls who I'm fighting, or for women, they have had like maybe 50, 60 adult fights, and I've had, I don't know now, 11 or 12. It's a big contrast. And I feel as well, like with one, I know Corona happened just as I was getting started with I had loads of fights lined up, and the week of my fight it would get cancelled because the planes are not going to Corona. So, for me, I know everyone's got a different story set, but it's not an excuse. But like, I've had 4 fights in 4 years with one. Um, and for me, I just want the experience. So I'm really hoping to get maybe 3 or 4 fights a year with them. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, 4 fights in 4 years. It's hard because every time I go into the ring now, it's like, the whole ring rush, you get the whole shock of like, oh my God, this is such a huge platform. I just need some more ring time. And I think,
Mm.
that's why I've had such close decisions, but I've lost a few on one because I just need to get going a little bit more and give me more fights, please.
So you think it's just like a matter of getting used to the experience, maybe, and all the things that go around it that are outside of fighting?
Yes, definitely. And it's not just about getting in the ring. It's about the whole build up. It's about the nerves of
Mhm.
like the crowd. Being continuous with kind of weight cuts, and there's so much backstories that go into the fight. People just see that 9 minutes of you fighting, they don't see the preparation. And
Yeah.
when you're constantly got fights coming up, it's so much easier because you're like, right, it's go time, let's go. Whereas I have been waiting like sometimes a year in between fights. And yeah, I feel like that would definitely give me the edge if I'm just continuously getting ring experience. Hopefully, I've asked some permission to fight outside of one, but we'll see. Yeah, but I'm just so eager, just want to fight. This is my whole life, so I just want to get in. Um, but yeah, it's out of my control.
Just just to rack up that experience. Yeah. So when did this? How did this opportunity? How did they find you? How did they approach you? And what went into making the decision to actually join them at such a
Um,
young age? You know.
yeah, yeah, I was very young. I feel like what really started my career off with one. I actually had a WBC bout for a national championship, and I won that. And after that, I got a manager. So I was managed by Edwin Vanos. And it
Hmm.
was like maybe a month in from working with him, not long after this fight. And he kind of said, I was actually a care worker. I was sat at my care
Oh.
job. I'd been doing this job for 7 years. And I quickly checked my phone as a message. How do you feel about one? I'm like, what do you mean? And then he's started explaining. And I remember just crying. So I was just like, oh my God, this is such a, compared to where I'm sat now in my care job, compared to where I'm going to be in 1 year from this offer, it's just so overwhelming. And like I said, I was 19. I was the first UK female to be signed by one. It's just everything about it was really surreal. And I had to wait quite a bit for my first bout, but yeah, you can't get bigger than one. But just looking back, 19 years old getting signed is like a dream come true. Like I'm living the dream from what every fighter wants, and I'm so grateful.
100%. And you said like how big the organization is, and I think what a lot of people in the West don't really understand is that one is bigger than the UFC numerically as well. Like the numbers they do, and I
Yeah,
think how many people watch it and everything like that. But it's just that there's a different part of the world that's that's watching it. So
yeah,
it can be overwhelming, I'm sure. I'm sure
yeah.
the numbers you were super happy with, especially at that point, like the what they were paying and everything. Um, what was that feeling like in the build up to the first fight, and the nerves going out? How did you keep that under
Mhm.
control?
Oh, my first experience wasn't a very good one, to be honest with one. One
Mm,
was amazing, but I was with my dad. He was my coach, and we decided to go out to Thailand before,
mm.
just to get climatized. My first one was in Vietnam, so we thought, right, we'll go to Thailand, we'll fly out, and literally the week before my fight, I was doing loads of clinch, and I someone just was rubbing. I had got conjunctivitis in both eyes so bad. I had the worst eye
Ow.
infection. I couldn't see.
Eesh.
So then I got the to Vietnam, and one was like every day they was giving me medicines, booking me doctor's appointments. And the day of my fight, I had a doctor's appointment at like 7 in the morning to see if I could even fight. Um,
Wow.
and I'll never live down the photos. If you see my photos of my first fight, I'm like this because I couldn't open my
Scream.
eyes. So they, like on top of having my first like debut fight on one, it wasn't like my head was a bit all over the place because I knew that I wasn't 100%. But there's no way I was pulling out.
Mm,
I wanted to do that fight. I trained so hard for it. So, I mean, it was an amazing experience, and especially like having my first time on one, I was a little bit ill. It really showed me how much they look after their fighters. Like they was checking me like constantly. Not many promotions like go above and beyond for their fighters, and the way they
mm.
run things is just amazing. They really treat like superstars.
And it can work both ways. Like, did it uh the fact that you had to go through that sort of medical stuff distract you more from the fight, and you were like, whatever happens happens because I'm already disadvantaged, or did it
Yeah.
make you more nervous?
A bit of both. I mean, you always
Mm,
get nervous going into a fight, and in my mind, what I just always think is no one goes into a fight 100%. Like you've been training so long, you're
yeah.
gonna have niggles, you're gonna have little injuries. You can't let things like that get in your head. And I know that I was ill, but I just thought, just, just go for it. You're doing it, so you
Yeah.
just do it the best you can. So I made the best out of a bad situation, but it's always a
Mhm.
story to tell. So memories.
Yeah. It's all part of the little documentary that you're building up in your head always,
Yeah, yeah.
of your life. You mentioned Thailand and being there. Like every Muay Thai fighter has the Thailand experience, the training experience and stuff. And the first time you went there, like, what was that experience like? Did you have any culture shock? Can you describe that?
Do you know what? I've been visiting Thailand since I was probably like 5, so I can't
Uh huh.
remember very clearly. But we used to go on group holidays with our gym, Touch Clubs, for one in Cornwall. So it was a big group of us. I remember we used to train in Bangkok at Sasi Prapa gym, go to Fairtex gym, and yeah, I mean it's complete different culture shock. I think everyone in their life needs to travel just to be grateful for what they've got. And I remember I
Hmm.
got a twin sister, and we used to, like, before we went, pack all our old clothes in our suitcase, go out there, and then there was like an orphanage down the road from the gym, so we used to go there and give them all our clothes, and just little things like that. Like, they stick in your head because people are just so happy up there, and they're so thankful for what they've got. And I think it really shapes you as a person when you go and visit different countries. And just even seeing how they train and they live. Fighters was like staying in a back room in the gym, and like compared to the UK gyms, you know, you could just consider yourself very
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah, it's a different culture. It's a transformative experience, both like personally, I think, and in training. It's like it shows you how they're symbiotic, together, the martial arts and just being a good person, I guess.
Yes, yeah,
I don't know, because I've never been there, but I grew up in the Middle East where there is a lot of areas where it's like similar, but it's never going to be the same. Because I mean, the Jordanian fighters that I work with and stuff, they also go and train in Thailand, and they come back transformed. you
yeah.
know. But I was wondering if you didn't have any sort of um fights in Thailand. You know how you have those weird, what are they called? The shows where you're like fighting every week, and then you have those crazy people around betting on you and everything, like those
Yeah,
crazy stories you hear.
yeah, the stadium fights. My
Yeah.
I didn't ever do a stadium fight. Like every growing up, My mum would always be fighting when we're out there, so we was always around the stadiums, like watching a fight.
Ooh.
And then as I've got a bit older and I've started competing high level, I've only visited Thailand for my fight camps before I fight elsewhere. So I can't jump in the ring when I'm on a fight camp in case I get injured. But you know, it's a crazy atmosphere for stadiums, like you said, for betting and for crowds going mad. And I think it's brilliant that people can jump in every week and, like I've said before, get the experience. Especially Thailand, like they kind of just say, "Oh, I've heard stories. Do you want to fight tomorrow?" Yeah, we don't know who it's against. There's no like weigh-ins. You just do it, and for fear that must get taken out of you after doing those, you got no excuses. You just, you know, there's no discussion about weight or nothing. It's just mad. And I think, you know, this is why some of the Thai fighters are the best, because they're getting in every week. They don't care who it is. You're not like studying your opponent. Oh, I don't know if I should take this fight. You just get on with it and do it. And that's what fighting's all about.
Yeah, and that's why the Rotangs of the world didn't care about going back, like getting into like one and like fighting in small gloves and stuff like that. Like they'll just go for it, you know?
Yeah.
And like when they did the 1 round MMA thing as well with DJ, and like they'll take anything. And it's it tells me something about how everything can be overcome. So any fear kind of can be overcome with routine or habit, you know, like with the repetition. Repetition is the word.
Yeah.
You know, I guess.
Yeah, you just got to step out your
interesting.
comfort zone. Otherwise, you're just going to stay at the same level. You got to do things that scare you.
Yeah. Is that like when? Is there something? When did you last step out of your comfort zone? You feel like?
Oh God! Well, I mean, even moving up to Leeds was a huge step for me.
Yeah, it is.
That was like a huge, like leaving my family. It was a very upsetting day, but at the same time, I've been wanting to move for ages, but I've always been too scared. And I just thought, right, I haven't got any accommodation to go to up in Leeds, but I packed my car and I just thought, right, I'm gone. That's it. And
Wow.
I think that was one of the biggest things I've done for myself. But I don't look back on it. I love it up here.
Yeah, and I bet the type of training you get, like you said, it's one of the best gyms. And how do you feel like they've managed to transform your game for the better? Like, what are some elements that you just completely opened your eyes to?
I mean, I work with Richard Smith at Bad Company, and you know, he's got so many fighters who are in one. Like obviously you got Liam, Andy, he trains Jacob Smith. Like the list goes on. But he's got experience coaching people in the 4-ounce gloves. One championship is kind of scored differently to traditional Muay Thai as well. I mean, you just got to look at the videos from Bad Company. It's fast paced, it's aggressive, exactly what you need for one. So I feel like, you know, I've got my style from what my dad's always coached me, and now I'm adding the extra on top. So it's, you know, I'm not changing my style, but I'm just always adding. Like Richard's really good at taking me on the pads, and I don't really know what he's doing, like for a fight game. And then one day he'll say, by the way, we've been doing this on the pads because of it. And it just all clicks. Like the way
like,
he trains me is, yeah, there's a method behind the madness.
It's interesting because that makes you like trust them blindly. That's really good. Because otherwise you might maybe overthink it if they're like sharing why they're doing those things, and they probably want you to be out of your head with that stuff and just execute it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and that's great to like the style that fits your sort of insane power that you know, the famous power.
Yeah.
When did you sort of feel like your power was just exceptional? Was there a moment?
I mean, like I said, since I've come to Leeds, I feel like my training's completely different, because now I've added in strength and conditioning, just boxing. I've obviously got my Thai boxing. I've also got a nutritionist, and now I've put this all together. This is like, now I've never felt better. Like, I know it's cliche to say, oh, this is the best fight camp I've ever had, but for me it is, because, you know, now my last fight camp was the first time I've had a set camp at Bad Company gym, whereas before I was kind of doing some at Touch Gloves, doing some at Thailand, and now I've got it set. You know, I think you need to just stay at one, because you need that process of getting to know your pad holder, talking to him about how you're feeling. And yeah, like I say, it's just all come together. Like I used to have my dad in my corner. Now I've got like an army of people. So many different
Mm.
aspects of training.
Yeah, and you mentioned the nutritionist and like how basically life transforming has that been? 'Cause that's something I've been really big on showing my
Yeah.
fighters. Yeah.
Well, before, like, I was doing the whole have some I have porridge in the morning, have chicken and rice, and then have
It's
vegetables and
like
rice with a bit of chicken. Like
what I
the
would do, you know,
boring,
like
yeah,
yeah.
like, and it's opened my eyes to see that you can actually enjoy your food while you're on fight camp. And also, I'm not a big cooker, and I don't really cook. And since I've been on this diet, I love it. Like it's a part of your day you look forward to because you look forward to your meals. You're making it yourself, so you know what's going in it. And I've enjoyed it. I work with Pete from Condition Nutrition, and to have someone on call, you could text like, you wake up a little bit heavy. He's like, right, I know why this is. Don't worry about it. And just having someone to
Mhm.
reassure you about it is like, I feel sorry for him because I'm texting him 24/7, but he's the best at his job.
That's the idea. That's what you need. That's the best nutritionist you can have, you know. So
Yeah.
it seems like you're just having that team around you, aside from it's well, because of the physical differences that they're making in you, whether it's your technique or your nutrition and everything, it's affecting your mental game the most. Like the
Yeah.
confidence and the calmness that you gain from it, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. I'm doing things in camps that I've never done before, and it's all positive. And when you feel the difference in yourself, you do become mentally strong. I used to suffer really bad from like anxiety and panic attacks, and I feel like now I've moved away from my hometown. I'm doing everything by the book, and you can't leave any stone unturned. Like you can go into a fight and know, oh well, I did have that week off where I was being a bit lazy. Like all of
Mm.
these dads will walk into the ring with you, so you need to make sure that everything you're doing is correct. Like in the bigger picture, an 8-week fight camp, it seems like a long time, but it goes so quick. So just do it right. And then win or lose, if you lose and you've had a great fight, it to me that's you've done the best you can. So what's the point in dwelling over it? If you lose and you could have done more, that is the worst feeling in the world. So
Mm.
do it right the first time.
Yeah, you don't want to be able to blame yourself from what happened before the fight, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if the opponent was better and you know he did everything, like then you can accept it, you know, but like leaving stones unturned beforehand, then you start overthinking that, you know? Starts
Yes.
messing with you. You said well, like moving from Cornwall is like basically making life changes and like cutting something out of your life that wasn't working for you. How about people as well? Like, how do you keep the right people in your life, and how do you go about cutting out the bad people in your
This was
life?
a big
'Cause that's
thing for me. Yeah. I
mhm,
mean, my dad's always coached me my whole life. So the training aspect, like I could have stayed there, but I
mhm.
felt there wasn't many sparring partners and different things towards the training. But also in Cornwall, it's a very dead end. It is literally the last stop on the train of England. So, you know,
Actually, like the
yeah,
last stop.
very
Oh,
last. I live near Land's End. It's the last point, Land's End.
oh
Um,
my god.
so you know, obviously there's lovely people down there, but lots of people, especially my age, they're not doing much. They don't really want to travel. They're happy in a small, tiny town. And I'm sure anyone who lives in tiny towns knows there's like, there's gossip all the time. There's people
Oh
always
man, I've been
late
there.
in
Yeah.
you haven't done like I can't be dealing with the drama. So lots of people, when I moved away, you find out who your real friends are. Lots of people haven't kept in touch, and I'm not chasing anyone. I'm starting a new life. I'm only surrounding myself with people who are positive, who are doing well, and I think that's rubbed off on me because I've had a whole different mindset since I've been up here.
Hmm. Yeah, I think if you're authentic to yourself and like keep doing what you're meant to do, those
Yeah.
people will find you, and people
Yeah.
others will naturally fall off.
You find
But you
you
have a
get
tat.
a lot of friends who actually don't want you to do well, and it's crazy.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
realize that until you step away from it and then realize, who is actually there for you. But it's life.
No, absolutely, and it's like people don't want to see. There's certain people that just don't want to see other people doing better than them. They want to
Yeah.
keep you on that same level, so you can sort of struggle together or confide in others,
Yeah.
you know. And did you? But those people haven't been trying to get back into your life now that you're becoming so successful, or on this
Mm,
big stage.
I mean, no one's even messaged me. Who
Really? Well, that's good
yeah,
because a
so
lot of
it's
people
kind
that's
of
a
like
headache.
clear cut. Yeah, yeah, but this is good. This is like
Simple.
when I first moved
Good.
up, I found it hard. I mean, even now, I haven't met anyone who's not a part of the gym. But to me, this
Mm.
is why I've moved my whole life. I want just on my career. I've got a few friends who I chat to sometimes, but I don't want to be coming out up here and going out all the time. And I'm so focused on my fighting. I know it sounds like a boring life, but this is my life. And I think the friends who want me to do well, they know when I've got a fight coming up. They don't moan at you for not going out for their birthday or moan at you for not going for a meal. Like they understand
Mm-hmm.
it. And this is why I've got a few friends up here now, because they're part of the gym. They get it, and I think that's a big step, because before it's like, oh, why aren't you coming out? Come on, you got to have a drink. You got to have a drink. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I can't. But I don't think you really understand what goes in the sport. Like I said before, like it is a whole lead up to it, which is so important. Lots of people just think, oh, you'll be all right. You fight all the time. It's not like that. You've got to stick
Mm-hmm.
to your training regime like dead on. There's no point in having one weekend where you go off and then that ruins the whole next week. They don't understand it's a big process to it. Now I've put on 2-3 kilos and now I've got to do more running and now I'm drained.
Yeah.
And yeah, dominoes effect.
Yeah, it's a very unusual lifestyle that people from outside or that don't know the sport will never understand. But I guess you were like born into it, so it's more normal to you. But
Yeah.
and I have these chats all the time, and this is why like dating in the sport is also very difficult,
Yeah.
sometimes because if well within the sport, well first of all, two people are very unavailable, right? If you're dating another fighter, and if it's someone from outside, it's like they don't understand the lifestyle. They want to hang out all the time. They want to see, you know,
They're
and
eating
it's
McDonald's
just
in front of you. Oh, do you want some?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that as well. Fuck yeah, that's so. Yeah, I bet that'll be tough. Um, but what would you say was like the most trying and most transformative experience of your life so far? That's like a difficult experience you've been through, sort of that shaped you the most.
I mean, for it's hard to pinpoint, but a hard thing for me was about a year and a half ago, my granddad passed away. He was quite ill for a long time. I
Mm.
actually did have a fight possibly set up and in the UK, and I had to pull out because I've never pulled out of a fight before, but he wasn't well, and
Mm.
I was so close to I'm close to my nan. I was so close to my granddad, and that was a big trying time for me. And that's kind of when I had a fight coming up with one as well. So I think that kind of changed my mindset quite a bit. I come up to Leeds and I just trained so hard for that fight. It was my first one in 4-ounce gloves against Diandra Martin. So,
Tough
it
one,
really
yeah.
shows like then where I go when I'm upset is what makes you feel better is training, and it kind of shone a new light on it, but I need to do this mentally as well. But yeah, I mean, that's what people don't realize every fighter's got a life. So if things like this happen, you never know what someone's going into a fight to. This is why I don't get when people do the whole pushing and shoving and like the whole shouting thing. Everyone's going through a fight camp. Everyone's got things going on. Just
Mhm.
be nice to each other. Like,
Yeah.
it's no need to. Well, America's probably different, but there's no need.
Yeah, it's there's different cultures, you know, in different places,
Yeah, some
but
people love it.
um,
I've never been like that.
yeah, it's sports entertainment as well, but I don't know, like everyone can do it differently. There's some self promoters that are just like not like that at all, you know, like
Yeah.
um, I don't get it when like people well, people, I guess a lot of the fans don't completely understand everything that goes into it. I think the average fan just has no idea absolutely what goes into either the business side of things
Hmm.
or in the background in training. They're completely clueless, and I see this all the time. But through messages I get or comments stuff sometimes on certain posts, I'm like, if
Yeah.
only you knew, you know.
Oh god,
Um,
some of the things I get online, it's like, well, now I used to get bothered by things online, and now I just look at it and think, if you was doing what I'm doing, you wouldn't have time to be writing hate on different
yeah,
people things. Like, it's people who are up here and you should listen to will never say anything negative about someone trying. It's always, like I said, the people
hmm
who aren't doing much are the ones who always kind of pick on you. But I keep all the comments up now. I don't delete anything because I look back and I think, I hope other people are looking at what you're writing here, because there's no need for it.
oh yeah. Oh no, we always got people like sticking up for it. I don't even need to argue sometimes. It's like you
Yeah.
got the right people are attacking each other and it's insane. Sometimes I just have fun like sending screenshots of like the insane posts. I tell people like, "Oh, look, like how did this go from 0 to 100?" Like at some point I had someone
I know.
I suddenly like see random comments and I see a guy accusing someone else of being a pedophile all of a sudden. And I'm like, "How did you get here?" You know, like this is ridiculous. And I
I
enjoy seeing
know.
how it happened, the process, you know.
Yeah, yeah. It's like watching a
Yeah.
soap, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So you did used to delete so you used to delete comments and now you're not
Yeah, I
doing it.
used to, and when I started, like, about years ago, and then now I'm with one, I'm just like, I see all the other one fighters getting, I just think, do you know, I'm sure my mates will have a laugh at this. I'm gonna keep it on.
Mhm. Just arguing with random profiles.
Yeah.
Um, so now we're on the social media thing. What are you sort of doing towards self promotion, and what tips can you give other fighters sort of to promote themselves? Because you know, attracting sponsors and you know, attention is the new currency. So
Hmm.
it helps in attracting sponsors and everything like that, and building your career outside of fighting as well.
Yeah, I mean, Instagram is a huge part of any fighters, and Facebook career now. It's kind of like a shame. Like, I look back on, like, well, even my mum, for example, she's been around the world and stuff, and social media wasn't that big when she was fighting, but
Hmm
like now it's kind of, it's a blessing and a curse, because everyone just cares about followers and posting, but at the same time, like you said, it's an amazing place to promote yourself, and follow other fighters and things like that. But
hmm
I still get awkward posting stuff. I'm I hate it. I hate taking videos of myself and talking in them. Like, I find it really hard, but I'm getting used to it a bit now. um but I it's crazy, like after my last fight, I was having breakfast with my friend, like, day after my fight, and I was like, oh, I might just make a reel, like, just put random clips together. It took like 2 minutes. And then, like, a week later, I looked on my Instagram. I was like, oh my God, I've got like 50,000 more followers. Things just
Jeez.
blow up crazy on there. Like, one video, I was, every day it was going up and up. And that's why it went from like 65,000 before my fight. I've got like 108 now. I'm like, this is crazy. But in the work terms of like promotion and stuff, it's good for sponsors, because obviously, you collaborate, they help you and you help them. And I think it's really important to build relationships. And, you
hmm
know, like, as businesses, I always like helping growing businesses. And everyone's starting from somewhere. So for me personally, I like it because I can follow their journey as well as they follow mine.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like sharing the platform, sharing the growth. Like, what's the point of just sitting on it by yourself? You know,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's like it just builds bridges. Yeah,
yeah.
sort of what opened my eyes to it during COVID. I mean, what really blew up my company, because it was just a video production company working with different all kinds of businesses, and what made it blow up into the combat sports world was that COVID happened, and I lost a lot of clients, and then suddenly was like, you know what, I'm getting government aid to help the entrepreneurs, right, that are struggling, or like businesses. Let me, now's a chance to like start this podcast. And slowly but surely, I'm like, I ended up, I owe my entire network and getting into sports
Yeah.
management and getting going to all these great events and meeting all these great people, to social media as well. You
Yeah.
know, it was like my biggest networking tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really useful. I mean, I was just scrolling down my Instagram and I seen you guys. Like, I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh, well, just get an interview going." So it's crazy. Like, you
Nice.
know, everyone around the world can connect.
Yeah, just randomly at any time. Um, and it's just, it gets you into, it's crazy how that can get you to the other side of the world at some point
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think uh fighters need to do to land sponsors? Like, what are some of the things
Uh,
that make you appealing to a sponsor, maybe you feel like? Because I
yeah,
was always like to advise some fighters as well,
I know,
or
like,
have other fighters advise other fighters. Yeah.
yeah. Well, do you know, I only have like per bout sponsors. I haven't got any
Hmm.
monthly sponsors who help me out with, my training fees. So anyone watching, but other than that, I feel like um lots of people, like, tips for it, maybe lots of people forget to tag even the little things, like if you're wearing a t-shirt, make sure you tag them, or just put like stories on. It takes 2 minutes of your time, and for them this is a
Hmm.
huge, um you know they appreciate it a lot. Um and it take like I said, it takes 2 minutes of your time, but also to stay like kind of loyal to them. Like, lots of my sponsors, they do it per bout, but I remember this because they helped me out on a time but I really needed it. And now I just, I've built great friendships with these guys, and
Hmm.
then, hopefully we carry it on. We're kind of business partners, we work together. And also, I've made friends with a lot of my sponsors. So again, you're just meeting like great people who you surround yourself with. They've started a business, and it just leads off from there. Like, different connections come through with your posts. Other people will see you advertising them well and want to be a part of it. And
Hmm.
yeah, next minute you've got, you know, a few sponsors together, and it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I bring this up too is like because I've been passionate about sort of spreading the word to other, either media companies or people who own brands, fight fans who own brands, opening them up to how little it sometimes takes and how big of a difference that
Mm.
fee makes towards a fight camp. Because I was talking to another media platform in Berlin recently, and they asked me about it because I started sponsoring fighters this year, and I've sponsored like 8 so far, and they're like, "How much do you pay?" And I'm like, you'd be surprised who you can get sometimes for like $300, something like that. And they're like, wow, I thought the minimum for like a big show would have been like maybe 2,000, something like that. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
And I think we need to open people's minds up to it, because if we make these little incremental changes in the sport, it's going to trickle, it's going to go up to the bigger brands that have
Yeah.
money to make a bigger difference.
And like, life of a fighter is not cheap. So like, even
Yeah.
300 quid, that goes so far. It's like for training for a month, and like for diet plan, like that is main things of your fight camp, and it's done. It's a huge stress off. And um like, I don't, other fighters might feel this, especially like females in the sport. I make my money from PTs, but like
Hmm.
at the moment I haven't got a fight coming up, so I take on any PTs. But some people I PT are like 90 kilos, 95 kilos, and it's damaging. Like, it's hurting, but I need the money. So when I have a fight coming up, I can't risk injury. So then half of my PTs are cut out, and then
Right.
the most expensive time, because then you're paying for more training, and so on. So that sense, it is hard, but it is what it is. It's not worth getting injured.
Yeah, and people sometimes are pocket watching and they're like looking at fight purses, but they also forget the fees that you still have to pay.
Yeah.
Um, coaches, taxes. Tax is like
Yeah, yeah,
in a lot of places like about 40% would go to tax, right? So
yeah,
it's crazy. So yeah, you're
yeah,
actually making less than half of what people are seeing if they read it, like.
yeah,
And
100%.
what I urge people to sometimes do is like another thing that can help is if you ask a fighter what are your like list some expenses of yours, like the gym fees, the um what is it, the recovery, the nutritionist, meal prep and everything like that, and like pick one or pick a few of those and be like, oh, I'll fund those for the next month or two or something like that, or
Yeah,
during your
yeah,
fight camp. So yeah, so it really isn't that much. um it can get you a lot. It can help both people out a lot. So
yeah,
yeah.
100%.
So what is when you're eyeing a next opponent, like do you have someone in mind that you'd really like to fight?
Um, yeah, I mean, I want to fight Jackie again. She's a lovely girl.
New one.
We fought once before in America where I won. We've just fought on one championship. She won, but I feel like it was a close fight. And she fought for the belt. So if I go in with her again, I'm just at one step closer. And um, I feel like as well now I've moved to bad company. Like even from seeing my last performance, I've improved so much since that fight with Jackie.
Hmm.
So I want that rematch. I definitely want that. It's 1-1. Why wouldn't anyone want to watch that? We can have one final fight.
Exactly, the rubber match. We need it.
Yeah.
So you think she'd be open to taking it as well? Also, knowing that I mean, she'll be confident too. She'll be confident about it.
Yeah.
You're
I
both
can't see why
confident.
not. I mean, we wait for the call from one and see who they've got. So hopefully one will eventually put it on. But there's a few girls in my category. It just get me fights. I don't care who I fight. I've had like the
Mhm.
hardest fight so far. So I'm ready.
It's just it seems like you're just like really what is it, excited to show off the new and improved like with the new gym.
Yeah, yeah.
So I bet like you just want to make that one statement and then it'll all roll in, I feel like.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Hmm. Uh, was it difficult to like how do you adapt to the one scoring criteria? Does it change the way you fight as well? The way
Um,
you pace yourself?
it seems like different. So like you had for one card, for Amazon Prime cards, that seems to be different scored than the Lumpini cards. It's changing all the time to be honest, but I
Really? Because
feel
I
like
thought it was just like they
mm,
all of them just score the fight based on the entirety of it, right? So
yeah, yeah. I mean, as well, like lots of it is like on bursts and like finishing. I feel like I don't know. I watch different fights on one, and some of them are close and they goes away that I didn't think, and yeah, I don't know.
mhm.
But I mean, I did actually do some K1 fights as well in my career, and that was very aggressive coming forward. So I feel like I could flip it either way. I can also fight quite traditional Muay Thai, so it depends who we're training for really. And like I said, my style is changing again now. I've come up to bad company, so we'll see. Like I said, I just go with whatever Richard tells me because he's got a plan. So if we're training and I see that he's doing more boxing, which one is more boxing now? I watched the one Lumpini card last week, and there was a fight. They didn't throw any kicks. It was just boxing. So
Wow.
I feel like people want to see damage. It's 4 ounce gloves. Like who wouldn't?
Mhm. Is it how did that feel the first time you got hit with that full force?
Mm, not nice. As when
I
I
bet.
was my first fight in 4 ounce gloves was with Diandra. Um,
Mhm.
I
She's
hadn't,
rangy.
yeah, I hadn't
Yeah.
fought in 3 years because of COVID, and she's very tall, and just everything hits you. Like even a jab is like, oh god. But
Mm.
I think one of them, the first fight I've heard from a lot of fighters, the first fight you're having 4 ounce gloves is a shock. And after that, it gets better and better. So, I mean, I felt like the shock of it. I felt like my Dandra fight hurt more than the Jackie fight. But I feel like Jackie's a better fighter, so it probably didn't hurt as much because I was more used to it. It's all up here as well. If you're in the mindset of, oh God, this is something new, it's gonna hurt more. You know, this is a big part of Thai boxing, like your mind, how you go in entering the fight. That's a big thing for your pain as well. Good measure for your pain. So.
Yeah, and how about flipping it to the fact that you also get to inflict that type of pain on someone else? So,
yeah,
you know, oh, I have 4-ounce gloves too. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true what you said though, because Jackie, you know, stopped Deandra recently, so I feel like she does have more power, especially when you see how that fight went and how Deandra was reacting to those punches. So, do you ever take confidence from that too, like the way you hang with certain people and then seeing how they hit your next opponent? Maybe you're like, oh, I stood with her, I did well against her, so you know,
it's a huge confidence boost, and to see where, like, how much you've improved. Like, you know, when I fought Deandra, that was obviously a big shock to the 4-ounce gloves, and then I fought Jackie and I had like no injuries, no nothing. Then they obviously fought and Deandra got stopped, and I thought, this is like, it's good for me to look back and I can see, oh, I am getting better. This is, you know, it's a good confidence boost.
Did that make you want to fight Deandra though?
I'd like to fight Deandra again, 100%.
Just want to fight all of them again.
Yeah, just give me
all of them.
Yeah.
All right, well, you want to fight everyone again. And now I have, let's do some fan questions. Let's move on to the fan questions then, and then there's a few. Okay, actually, we answered a few of those already. Yeah. Netflix is so dry says, is there an opponent in one that you want to fight most? So I guess we answered that.
Yeah.
Walt Nimda says, what's your craziest Thailand story?
My craziest Thailand story. I'm quite sensible when I go Thailand because I'm always on a fight camp. But crazy one. I got a funny one. I wouldn't say it's crazy. I like adrenaline. I love being scared. So when I went out last, I went on a jet ski and I took my friend Mia on the back of it, and I thought, right, it'll be funny. Go as fast as I can over a wave while I'm turning when she was on the back. And we hit it so hard and she flung off her back. I've never laughed so much in my life. I wasn't laughing when she come off. I was like, oh, you're right. And she went, yeah. And I thought, oh, I can laugh now. That's fine. But
did I kill her?
Tickles me every time I think of it.
Oh, you wish you filmed that.
Yeah.
I bet. So, okay. Now, my friend, Drop Bear MMA, you should follow her, actually. She triple weight division champion MMA,
wow.
Twice Australian, won world championship, and now went pro. Has a few questions because she also commentates Muay Thai and everything, so she clearly knows who you are. First of all, do you prefer fighting in a cage or a ring?
Do you know what? Everyone was really nervous for me to fight in a cage, and I was like, it really does not bother me. I don't dwell on things like that. I guess I prefer a ring because if you get on the ropes, you can lean back, and I like doing my lean backs. Whereas on the cage, you're stuck.
You can sort of roll with the punches sometimes.
Yeah. I like the ropes, so I would say I prefer using a ring. But to be honest, it doesn't bother me.
Because in the cage, you can trap them as well. Again, switching that mindset. Do you prefer fighting in small 4-ounce gloves or big gloves?
I would say I prefer small because, like you said, you could feel everything when you catch them. But I would like to go back to big gloves because I feel like for the experience, this will be better for me. But for sure, I prefer the small gloves. You feel so much faster.
And with the big gloves, like the whole defense changes and the whole guard changes. So like everything can get through with the 4-ounce gloves almost.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, do you change your training at all in that sense, by the way?
Yeah, I mean, you can't really hit pads with 4-ounce gloves on. We don't here. But when we're sparring or anything, it's so hard because normally you would be like here, in your normal
Yeah.
glove. But if you do this with 4-ounce gloves on, you will knock yourself out. So it's
Oh, that
here
too.
or like here. Obviously, you can like hold and change the guards. So it's great in clinch because you can kind of grab them, pull them in. But otherwise, it's just getting used to this. I mean, I broke a couple of my fingers the first fight because I think I was like punching not as quick. I wasn't getting here to here quick enough, and I didn't have a proper fist. So now I've got like wonky fingers, which really isn't good.
Yeah, that's what people who don't train martial arts don't know is like when you're not like you don't have your fist clinched here because of the for the speed, you're like sort of on the way you start balling it. And yeah, that can lead to some problems. And the what's it called? But it's more a bare knuckle problem. Sometimes when I talk to bare knuckle fighters, it's like if you try to block like this, I mean, you can still find the chin around here.
There's so many. It's very hard. Yeah, you're better off trying to come here with your guard and kind of catch the punches or to try and slip rather than covering up.
Yeah. So it's it can be a weird transition, I imagine. Okay, 2 more from her. What's a favorite fight of yours? I will go with that one first.
Oh, favorite fight would be Liam Harrison's 5 knockdown fight.
Your favorite fight
all time.
from yours.
My favorite fight. Do you know what I would say? My favorite fight I've done is in America against Jackie. I felt so relaxed, and I felt like that was a real turning point because I was an underdog for that fight. It was on her, it was in America. But I think my favorite performance to look back on would be my last fight. I know I've lost, but I feel like that was very entertaining. It was back and forth. It was cuts. It was blood. So that would be my favorite to go back and watch. But my American one would be the way I felt.
Awesome. You mentioned Liam Harrison a few times, and that his fight was your favorite fight to watch. But you're considered the female of Liam Harrison, so I bet that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
I haven't heard that before, but this is why I moved to Bad Company.
You haven't heard it?
You guys are my inspiration. So, to be put on that level, I know we're both on one, but like Liam is one of them people who I grew up watching, thinking I want to fight like him. So that's amazing to hear.
So you don't hear. So that's not something common that you get.
No, I've not heard it before.
Really, because that's as soon as this friend of mine and another one, and they're both in Australia. Actually, I don't know if it's a foreign thing. They saw that you were on the show. They're like, "Oh, that's the female Liam Harrison," and that's why I heard it from 2 people.
That's sweet.
So, yeah. Last one is favorite combo.
Favorite combo. Anything with push kicks as a setup. I love using my push kicks. I normally do like a front push kick, fake into like a jab cross or fake leg kick. There's so many fakes you can do off that front leg. And I feel like my push kicks are really powerful. So I love to use them. But I also use a lot in my fight. If someone push kicks me, I'm really good at catching and pulling them into my shots. So I normally catch a push kick, push them out for off balancing, pull them into me. I like the right hand to the body, left hook on top. I use that.
I love those.
Yeah.
It's like, because I love seeing in MMA, they have one that's like on the ground as well. That's similar if someone is on the ground to like grab the leg or fake grabbing the leg and then pulling them back in and then going for that punch on the ground.
Yeah. I like left hooks.
So if you ever transition to MMA, that'll be your thing, if it's on the ground.
Yeah.
Now there's 2 more people. Christopher Gray, 167. What advice would you give to a 13-year-old female amateur boxer?
So I would say, stay consistent, get in the, it's hard when you're that age as well. All your mates are probably going out and doing all sorts. Stick with it, but enjoy it. Do it because you love it. A big thing that helped me as well was watching fights on YouTube. Like I never used to watch them, and it's only for the last couple of years I've really got into watching. I've learned so much more, even though I'm older and I'm on one. My kind of watching it has just given me a whole new vision on what you could throw in fights
Mhm.
and combinations. So I'd say definitely study while you're at home as well as just in the ring, in the gym. So
There's a lot of fighters who don't watch fighting as well.
I never used to watch it because my whole life is to do a Thai boxing. When I get home,
Mhm.
I'm completely switched off from Thai boxing. Like I'll put on like a really rubbish Netflix series or whatever. But now I actually really enjoy it. Like I've come in, I've started like watching for one fights every Friday is like my thing now. You know, especially watching people who I kind of know. I've met so many different people in the sport now. As soon as they got a fight, I'm so excited to
Mhm.
watch. So
That's what happens with me. Yeah, it goes from watching every event or like random events, and you get more excited because you know the people on them or
yeah,
they're your friends, and you know it just adds a different. Like, there's how many times in the UFC that I'm so much more excited for a fight on the prelims than the main event, just because it's your friend, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah. I'm
add
like that.
something else to it. But you used to watch your mom probably so live, right? Or did you not
Yeah. I
go to
mean,
the
yeah,
events?
sometimes you know, we wasn't because like it was so normal to us. We was probably not even really watching, to be quite honest with you. But now, like I look back, I do watch my mum's fights on YouTube. But yeah, like growing up because you're surrounded, it's so normal. Like we didn't really think much of it. Like now I look back,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so lucky that I had her like around me all the time because I've seen from day dot how to diet, how to well, how much you should be training, that you need to go running. Whereas most people didn't have that in their background. Like it's all new to them and they probably didn't see
Yeah.
that every detail. So to me, I'm kind of I probably wasn't properly watching her fights, but it was always sinking in like no, like if someone was starting fighting, they probably don't know about the whole change room experience and the walking out. Whereas I was always with my mum for that. So this was a big help for me.
But it would might have felt like, you know, watching your parent at their job, you know, like or at
Yeah, yeah,
at
but
their
well,
accounting job or
right.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever feel like the kids were in school or everything were like, was it ever strange to them because it was very normal to you? They're like, oh,
Um,
or
do you
her
know,
mother is a fighter.
I had like my friendship group. They all had like kind of stuff going on themselves. So like one of my friends lived on the farm and was like into horse riding at a high level. So we I think I was lucky because like everyone was kind of into sports. So I had quite a sporty school.
Mm.
So it was kind of normal for everyone to go home and be with their mum and dad doing a sport. Um, but like, quite a few of my friends took an interest and they would come to the gym and they done like a couple of sessions and then we're like, oh, you know, I'd rather be at home watching TV or whatever, which is fair enough.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I suppose you don't even now. I like if I'm with my friends, I don't really talk much about it. But I guess that's just the split of having a bit of normality in your life when you
Mm.
have to be talking about Thai boxing. So yeah,
You just want to separate the two like completely.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
that's your
It's
time
like
off. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
While you're watching rubbish Netflix shows.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, let's see. Rojo El Sangre 23. When did you realize fighting was your passion?
Um, do you know not until quite late on, I would say. I mean, when I started doing the head contact, I lost a few fights, and my dad turned to me and he just said, I can't watch you get hurt anymore. Like, if you're going to do this, you're going to do it properly. And not long after that, I got offered a fight on Infusion, which is a big
Mhm.
platform. And the girl had like 30 fights, I think. And I had only had 4 adult fights, 4 losses. So I just thought, you know what? Right, give it my all. This is like, I'm going to do this one, see where it goes. And I stopped during the second round, and it was a huge event. I was the underdog, less experience, and from that moment, I just thought, right, this is what I want to do. I've proved it to myself now, and
Mm.
that's where it started. Like the win streak started happening, my career took off. So that was my changing mindset at that point.
That's very interesting. It takes like that one win against someone super experienced and like the way you do it, and that can just like ignite a whole different fire. Like you get reborn.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
was covering 4 losses. Like everyone was like, "Oh, you know, you're not going to do so well in this. Oh, I don't think you should do it. And that really fueled me. I was like, I'm going to go in there and stop her. And I did. So yeah, I think sometimes you need a loss. Sometimes, like, you know, it just,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, reignites like a flame, and you're like, right, this is it now. So
Yeah, do you think you're someone who like thrives completely off of like proving people wrong, maybe proving doubters wrong?
I
That's
guess I do a bit. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
you know, it's always nice to, you know, when you get people commenting on you, it's nice to prove them wrong. But yeah,
for
you know,
sure.
I think, like, especially with my last couple of fights on one, you know, I've lost, but I feel like there's such like a relatable story. Hopefully I can inspire people, because I'm still, you know, I'm not getting upset by it. They can see I'm improving each time. I'm going against top level girls, but also to show people you can have a couple of losses, but it's a learning curve. You can still get in, you're still taking on the best opponents, and it's not going to knock you.
Mm-hmm.
So I just hope people can see that and kind of don't get down if you have a couple of losses. Like, just enjoy the whole experience.
Yeah, people never know what's like a lot of those fights on the record, like how they went, who they were against, and stuff. And also, you're still so young. Like you're about to have
Yeah,
a long career still. So it's yeah, that's what they got to realize as
just
well.
go with it. Yeah, yeah. Just take it all in your stride. Do the best you can.
Most definitely. Hey, thank you so much, Amber. Is there anything else you want to share? Anyone you want to thank?
I'd like to obviously thank my dad, because he's been behind me my whole step of my life. My mum as well. My mum and dad, like, ooh. But
Woo!
also
I'm
Lisa,
famous now.
yeah, Lisa and Richard from Bad Company Gym, because, you know, this move, like I said, was daunting, and they've just taken me in like family. Like, they check up on me. They're just lovely people, and I feel like, you know, this is where I'm going to stay for a while now. So, you know, it's great to have people like them around you.
That's awesome, and
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the next fight now. Like you really sold me on it. So
Oh,
those
cool. Thank
improvements.
you. Oh, sorry. Cool.
Uh,
All right. Thank
cool.
you.
Hey,
Great
thanks so
speaking
much for doing the
to you.
show. This was In the Booth, and
Cool.
we'll be in touch.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Hey, thanks.
All right. Bye. Bye.